Inside the elevator, this girl secretly avoided the camera and took out 2 eggs. Then she crushed the eggshells and stuffed the eggs directly into her mouth. Even though she was so hungry that she had to eat eggs, she couldn't let the camera record it because this was an extremely high-end shopping mall. Ji-young was the employee in charge of pressing the elevator buttons for customers here. Ji-young wore high heels every day and had to stand in the elevator for more than 12 hours. No matter how tired or hungry she was, she still had to smile. Only during the few times when there was no one in the elevator could Ji-young relax a little. However, when someone entered the elevator, even though she had an egg stuck in her throat and hadn't had time to swallow it, Ji-young still had to act as if nothing was wrong. This man seemed to have sensed something. He brought his nose close to Ji-young's body to smell it and asked her if she farted. Ji-young was very worried when she heard that because elevator workers were not allowed to eat or drink, let alone fart. This rude man was Ji-young's superior. However, Minister Park's personality was extremely strict. Now he discovered a strange smell in the elevator and immediately demanded a fine from Ji-young. Even though Ji-young tried to explain in every way, he did not want to listen. Minister Park even scolded and looked at Ji-young with contempt. This made Ji-young extremely angry, but even so, she still had to smile when meeting customers. But things did not end so easily. When the elevator workers were about to leave work, Minister Park, a man, suddenly barged into the women's changing room. He had never knocked on the door before entering. He relied on his status as a superior to criticize the girls for their work efficiency in every internal meeting. He also used the excuse of helping them correct their posture and shamelessly committed perverted acts. Although everyone felt very uncomfortable because of their livelihood, they did not dare to be angry or blame them. In a developed country like Korea, for girls without qualifications like them, getting a job that did not require manual labor in a factory was considered happiness. These employees, except for their good looks and figures, did not have any skills. Facing such contempt, only Ji-young dared to speak up and refute. This was also the reason why Ji-young was always the one who caused trouble for Minister Park. But that was not the end. Girls from poor families at this time did not receive respect. After work, Minister Park would select obedient girls to go with him to the bar to serve the company's customers. Of course, the girls would not be willing to do so, but they could only endure it to keep their jobs. But today, Minister Park suddenly announced that the department store had decided not to set up elevator service staff positions anymore. The layoffs would be carried out in batches, so they should voluntarily resign. This news made the girls feel extremely desperate. The generations after 1990 probably did not know that elevator service staff were a standard feature of a shopping mall at that time. But with the development of social reform, it is now very difficult to see elevator service staff like this again. Now, Minister Park asked them to write down a list of colleagues they wanted to be fired. Ji-young felt that the company had suddenly decided to fire employees without notifying them in advance. Moreover, it was unreasonable to do so in a way that would hurt their colleagues' relationship, so Ji-young immediately tore up the list. Minister Park saw this and slapped Ji-young. He slapped Ji-young hard on the face. This slap also completely awakened Ji-young, causing her to make a decision that would completely change her life. It turned out that just a few days before, the famous hairstyling agency in Korea, the beauty expert of Queen Jae-ri's beauty salon, had come to see Ji-young. Jae-ri thought that Ji-young's body proportions, appearance, and temperament were very suitable for her requirements. Jae-ri wanted to invite Ji-young to participate in a beauty contest. Jae-ri would make Ji-young become Miss Korea, but Ji-young thought she wasn't pretty enough. Jae-ri confidently said that she had never been mistaken about anyone before. In fact, a few days ago, a beautician came to see Ji-young, but she rejected them all. Although Ji-young was the school's beauty goddess during her high school years, although she had a well-proportioned body and ideal height, she had a secret that she couldn't tell anyone. It made her feel extremely self-conscious and miserable. The meeting between Ji-young and Jae-ri should have started a few days ago. On a crowded subway, a girl suddenly pulled down her zipper and took it off. A tight, bright blue swimsuit. It stood out and caught the eye among a crowd of people wearing only dark coats. Jae-ri patted the girl's butt and the corners of her mouth curled up, revealing a gentle smile filled with confidence. Just when everyone was wondering what she was going to do, the girl raised her 2 hands to her waist and walked like an idol. The men on the train all looked at her without blinking. The girls here started to gossip, but the girl in the swimsuit acted as if there was no one around. Her eyes were extremely determined. Only Jae-ri stood there with an extremely serious expression. It turned out that the girl in the swimsuit walking on the subway was the Korean beauty queen they were training. Confidence was expressed in a unique way. The posture had to be beautiful, the steps had to be steady. The standard smile was to show 18 teeth, but absolutely not to show the lower teeth. The back had to be straight, the chest had to be slightly forward. Every movement had to be elegant. But under the protests of everyone around her, the girl finally couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into tears. She ran through the crowd and rushed out of the subway. This action of the girl made Jae-ri disappointed. She She was originally a beauty pageant champion. Now she is the director of the Korean Queen Beauty Salon. Jae-ri has personally trained many champions of the Miss Korea selection contests. With just a glance, she can see whether that person has the potential to become Miss Korea or not. In order to be able to train more suitable candidates, wherever there are many beautiful people, Jae-ri will go there to look for targets. When Jae-ri sees a girl, Jae-ri will look at her from head to toe, but ordinary beautiful girls do not satisfy Jae-ri. Today, Jae-ri accidentally saw a girl dancing on stage. Regardless of her appearance, body proportions, the rhythm of each dance, and her ability to control the surrounding scene, all made Jae-ri feel extremely satisfied. The heels were 8 centimeters high, and the distance from the floor to the knee was 51 centimeters. From the floor to the hips was 90 centimeters. Just looking at her back, whether it was her shoulder width, waist circumference, hip circumference, or even ankle circumference, everything was perfect. This girl was Ji-young. She came here to be a part-time dancer. If she could liven up the atmosphere at the scene, the boss would give her a little extra pay. At this time, Jae-ri calmed down. Jae-ri hurriedly chased after Ji-young outside, but Jae-ri accidentally bumped into a drunk man and fell down. When Jae-ri stood up, Ji-young had already gotten into the car and left. Jae-ri immediately ordered her secretary to investigate the information about the girl who was working as a part-time dancer at the bar. The next day, Jae-ri went to the shopping mall where Ji-young was working. Jae-ri met Ji-young in the dressing room. After explaining her identity, Jae-ri went straight to the point. Jae-ri told Ji-young that I value you very much. Moreover, I have the confidence and ability to train you to become Miss Korea. But the premise is that we need to check your physical condition first. Jae-ri wanted to check whether Ji-young's figure meets the standards of a miss. Jae-ri asked Ji-young to take off her clothes. Take off as much as she is confident. After Ji-young hesitated for a moment, she pulled down the zipper and took off her dress. This action of Ji-young made Jae-ri feel that she was very special. All the girls Jae-ri had interviewed would take off their shirts first, without exception. But Ji-young took off her skirt first. Just as Ji-young was about to take off her shirt, Jae-ri said that I didn't need to look anymore. Actually, Jae-ri had already seen Ji-young's true figure a long time ago. Jae-ri asked Ji-young to take off clothes because she wanted to test Ji-young's intelligence and courage. Jae-ri was very satisfied with Ji-young's performance. Jae-ri hoped that Ji-young could challenge herself a little and join Jae-ri in a beauty contest. As soon as Ji-young sent Jae-ri off, she met her high school classmate Hyung-jun. He said that he was now the president of a large cosmetics company. Hyung-jun came to find Ji-young to invite her to participate in an island beauty contest held on Jeju Island. In fact, his company was about to collapse because he didn't want the creditors to come and make trouble, and also because he wanted to win the bonus to save the company. He had to seek out the school beauty queen from high school. She had experience in participating in beauty contests and was also his first love. Ji-young and Hyung-jun's fate began in high school. At that time, Ji-young was the school beauty queen recognized by all the boys in the school. She was 1.7 meters tall and had long legs. Every time she smiled, she looked like a lotus flower. As soon as Ji-young appeared, all the boys in the school went crazy for her. The way she danced to the music made the boys scream even louder. They fought over throwing paper planes to compete for the top spot. In an era without beautiful female TikTokers, looking at Ji-young one more time is equivalent to taking one more eye supplement. The teasing shouts of male students are equivalent to clicking frantically, and the paper planes flying in the wind are also gifs that appear all over the screen during live streams. They just hope that the goddess can look at them once. If any male student's paper plane is picked up by Ji-young, it will be a wonderful thing. 17-year-old Hyung-jun was almost diagnosed with Alzheimer's that year. His heart and body were trembling non-stop. Under Hyung-jun's relentless pursuit, they quickly developed into a romantic relationship. But after graduating from high school, Hyung-jun passed the entrance exam to a famous university. Ji-young had to work as an elevator attendant. Hyung-jun's mother felt that Ji-young was not worthy of her son. Under her efforts to prevent him, Hyung-jun listened to his mother's arrangement and decided to break up with Ji-young. In addition, Hyung-jun's old friend from the investment company, Lee Jun, had also said that as long as a female employee of Hyung-jun's company could win the Miss Korea title, Lee Jun would be willing to invest all the money in Hyung-jun's cosmetics company. Hyung-jun decided to go to Jeju Island to participate in the competition. He could get the 5 million won prize money and pay off his debt. This was also considered a warm-up for the national competition in Seoul. But Hyung-jun lied to Ji-young that his company was not short of money. He just wanted to train new talent. He promised to cover all expenses for Ji-young. Furthermore, the 5 million prize money from this competition would be given to Ji-young. Hyung-jun's goal was to train Ji-young to become Miss Korea. Hyung-jun also wanted to continue the unfinished love story between the two. Ji-young wanted to escape the difficult situation before her, so she decided to participate in this contest. But the person Ji-young chose was someone with more reputation and experience, Jae-ri. After arriving at the registration place, Ji-young knew that this this entire massive building was Jaeree's beauty salon. But there were so many girls who came to register for the contest. Each girl, if standing alone, would be at the level of a goddess in the hearts of men. Ji-young had to work as an elevator attendant before graduating from high school. Regardless of her education or knowledge, or her work and family, she felt a little shy. But what really made Ji-young feel inferior was her body shape. Even though she was tall, she felt dissatisfied with her bust. Ji-young looked at the other people who were all very outstanding, and then looked back at herself. In the end, she still didn't have the courage to come forward for the interview. Ji-young immediately turned around and left, choosing to give up. After returning home, Ji-young called her best friend. Ji-young said that she had decided to undergo medical intervention to change her bust size. Then Ji-young would go to Jaeree's beauty salon and challenge herself to the Miss Korea contest. For Ji-young's age, this was her last chance. But first, Ji-young had to win the selection contest on Jeju Island so she could get the surgery fees. So Ji-young submitted a leave application to Minister Park. Then they boarded the plane together and flew straight to Jeju Island. But Ji-young was so nervous that her hands were shaking non-stop. The scene that followed made everyone on the plane look at Ji-young. When she got on the plane, Ji-young knew that at an altitude of 10,000 meters, some materials would expand. Hung-joon, who was sitting next to Ji-young, immediately reminded her to swallow her saliva to reduce the pressure on her eardrums. But Ji-young was still in great pain. Hyung-joon immediately used force to hold her ears. It wasn't until the plane stabilized that Ji-young gradually stopped screaming. Ji-young asked Hyung-joon if she was embarrassed just now. Hyung-joon told Ji-young that everyone would be like that the first time they took a plane. Very quickly, they arrived at Jeju Island. The vast coastline was clear blue, and the roads were lined with rows of tall, green trees. This was also the first time Ji-young had gone away from where she had lived for more than 10 years. It was also the first time she had seen the ocean. But the three partners sitting behind her suddenly realized they had forgotten to bring their catwalk outfits. Fortunately, Ji-young said she would take care of it. Only then did they breathe a sigh of relief. In order to save money, they lied to Ji-young that they couldn't book a hotel. They told her to stay in the sauna for now. Her competitor was enjoying herself in a luxurious hotel. Ji-young used cucumbers as a facial mask. Her competitor had her own masseuse. The rehearsal was about to begin very soon. Ji-young didn't expect to meet Jaeree in the bathroom. It turned out that Jaeree had been invited here to be a judge for this competition. But Jaeree immediately lowered her voice and told Ji-young that she must not let others know that the two of them knew each other. That would cause others to misunderstand. Furthermore, no matter how Ji-young performed, Jaeree would give her 0 points. If Ji-young could still win on the basis of having the lowest score, then she would be qualified to join Jaeree's Queen Beauty Salon. Hearing this, Ji-young, who had been feeling extremely confident, was severely hit. But what Ji-young did not expect was that the subsequent blows would make her feel even more suffocated. That night, Hyung-joon said he wanted to invite Ji-young out for dinner. He took her to an extremely luxurious hotel, the main purpose of which was to let her entertain a major sponsor. But Ji-young had no idea that there was such an arrangement before. Hyung-joon also told Ji-young the truth. Only when he trained her to become Miss Korea would he be able to get investment capital from this main sponsor. Ji-young did not expect that her ex-lover would now bring her to the hotel for his own benefit. He wanted her to do that kind of bad thing. Ji-young immediately stood up and prepared to leave this place. At this moment, the sponsor that Hyung-joon mentioned pushed the door open and entered. He was the one who had secretly loved Ji-young for many years. At this time, Hyung-joon used the excuse of having something to do and escaped outside. Inside the room, Lee-joon went straight to the point and said that as long as Ji-young performed well tonight, he would be able to become her sponsor. Receiving such an insult made Ji-young stand up and want to leave this place. But Lee-joon mocked Ji-young, saying that it was a pity that she had a beautiful appearance but did not know how to take advantage of it. Ji-young immediately told him that no matter how poor she was, she felt disgusted just by seeing his despicable face. Lee-joon continued to mock Ji-young, saying that she was betrayed by Hyung-joon and was still innocent and unaware. At this time, Hyung-joon was sitting outside. Finally, his conscience rose up. He immediately rushed into the room, but he hoped that Ji-young could stay. After Ji-young gave him a fierce slap, she left. Hyung-joon sat down and poured Lee-joon some wine as an apology. Ji-young stood in front of the hotel door and cried silently. After Hyung-joon finished his glass of wine, he hurriedly ran out to call Ji-young, but she appeared right behind him. What Hyung-joon didn't expect was that Ji-young said that she would continue to participate in the competition. But the next day, when Ji-young asked her best friend to go to the mall to buy hanbok, her best friend coincidentally met Minister Park. Ji-young quickly received a phone call. Minister Park wanted to make Ji-young feel that she couldn't handle this matter. But the most urgent matter at hand was that Ji-young didn't have a performance outfit. At this time, they saw the news that price of gold was increasing, so they coincidentally looked at the creditor who had come here to collect the debt. After a while of patient persuasion, they used the money from selling the gold necklace to buy performance outfits. outfits. At this time, Ji-young also told Hyungjun that she would go to the competition in Seoul with Jae-ri. Their current relationship was just using each other. Hyungjun immediately apologized to Ji-young. He shouldn't have used her as a bargaining chip. If she went with Jae-ri, his company would completely go bankrupt. But Ji-young turned around and left without looking back. The competition was about to begin very soon. The competitors were all college students. Some were young ladies from wealthy families. But the aura that Ji-young exuded was not inferior to them. The judges had also marked Ji-young as a flight attendant in her profile. As soon as she stepped onto the stage, Ji-young bowed deeply to greet them. This special way of introducing herself made everyone feel very close. Although Ji-young felt a little nervous, her overall performance was not bad. Right after that was the singing and dancing stage. When the famous singer was performing for the competition, the song and dance became popular throughout Asia. In 1997, the contestants were smiling and dancing behind her. Since Ji-young was good at dancing, this performance was clearly giving her points. But Ji-young didn't expect that at this moment, her high heels suddenly broke. She immediately calmed down from her panic and continued dancing. The judges sitting in the audience also saw that scene. At this moment, all of Ji-young's shoe heel were completely broken, but her expression was still very calm. She tried to maintain her balance and continued to perform. It turned out that before the competition started, Ji-young's competitor had sneaked into the dressing room. She had played a trick on Ji-young's high heels. The main purpose was to make Ji-young feel embarrassed when standing on stage, but Ji-young was still able to continue performing. However, Ji-young couldn't resist and fell down right away. But in the end, she stood up again. She barely kept her balance on one leg. Everyone in the audience was worried about Ji-young, but Ji-young had secretly made up her mind not to fall. She remembered the bitterness she had endured as an elevator worker. She also remembered Minister Park's ugly face. Even if Ji-young's ankle was injured, even if she had no hope of winning, she could not give up halfway like that, because this was a taboo in the beauty pageant industry. Ji-young was still trying to maintain a smile and kept swaying her body to the music, but in the end, she still fell heavily to the stage floor. But what everyone did not expect was that Ji-young had decisively taken off her high heels. Ji-young continued dancing barefoot. This moved Jae-ri and everyone in the audience. At this time, Hyungjun had rushed up to the stage, but Ji-young still wanted to persevere until the end of the performance because she still wanted to receive the award for participating in the competition. Unexpectedly, Hyungjun carried Ji-young down the stage. He didn't understand the situation at the time. Hyungjun misunderstood that Ji-young was not well prepared, which led to such an embarrassing situation on stage. This incident also brought shame to his company. Ji-young blamed him for carrying her down the stage like that. She had secretly borrowed a hanbok from the mall for this competition and was caught red-handed. If she returned to the mall, she would definitely be fired. There was a possibility that Ji-young would even face criminal charges. There was no way back now. Ji-young said with determination that she would definitely become Miss Korea. But at this moment, Jae-ri suddenly appeared. Jae-ri said that a poor girl with strong will and perseverance was exactly what she was looking for. When Ji-young was with Jae-ri, she wanted to turn back to look at Hyungjun. But Jae-ri warned Ji-young not to turn back because if Ji-young did, her whole life would be ruined, just like his. But just as Jae-ri and Ji-young were about to leave, Hyungjun chased after her again. He said that he would still go find Ji-young. He wanted to use actions to prove himself. Hyungjun made Ji-young believe him and proactively returned to his side. Jae-ri looked at Hyungjun's strong words and didn't know whether to believe him or not. Ji-young returned to the department store and then submitted her resignation to Minister Park. Ji-young blamed herself for stealing the hanbok displayed in the mall. Ji-young earnestly begged him not to pursue her friend anymore. Minister Park said that Ji-young could ask him to spare her friend, but she had to make a deal or he would call the police. The next day, Ji-young went to find Minister Park and said that she was willing to transfer all her severance pay to Minister Park. She did so to save her best friend from being fired, but he did not agree to such a deal. Ji-young knew very well what he wanted, but she would rather lose money. Ji-young gritted her teeth and added half a year's salary to the deal with Minister Park. Only then did he reveal a satisfied smile. He turned around and patted Ji-young on the shoulder, marking the deal as a success. After that, Ji-young would have to say goodbye to her job as an elevator attendant. She would begin her journey to become the champion of the beauty pageant. She had wasted her time here for 10 years, so she did not want to waste her limited youth any longer. But the problem that gave her a headache was still not solved. Every night, Ji-young took out a ruler to measure her bust size to see if it had grown. In another development, the girls had to hold an iron bar between their legs for 15 minutes. They had to do handstands for 20 minutes. Not only that, they also had to stand up straight against a wall for 30 minutes. These were all measures that could effectively improve the shape of their legs and resist the Earth's gravity to prevent sagging. 200 knee-bending jumps could make the ugly lines of their thighs more slender. Once women passed their 20s, their pelvis would become curved. At that time, their height would be the same. As long as their buttocks were firm firm and curved, their figures would look much taller. When their body proportions were more harmonious, their posture would naturally be more beautiful. The girls were all trying to use their hip muscles to move forward. This move effectively lifts the buttocks. Ji-young tried harder than anyone else, because only when Ji-young could win would Jae-ri keep Ji-young by her side. But Chaehee's speed of movement was almost equal to Ji-young's. Although the girls here work very hard and sweat a lot every day, there are still a large number of girls rushing here for the dream of becoming a beauty queen. This place is known as the Hwangpu Military Academy in the beauty world, built by Jae-ri herself. Having won beauty contests 7 times, Jae-ri not only has a wealth of experience, but also has some beauty secrets for girls. Ji-young is 25 years old, so she doesn't have much time left to try. At this age, next year she won't be able to register for the contest anymore. Ji-young only had a high school education and 10 years of experience as an elevator service staff, so this was her last chance to change her fate. But today, after finishing training, Jae-ri proposed that everyone should talk honestly to each other to improve their team spirit. They had to shower together. Ji-young immediately panicked when she heard that. The thing she was worried about had finally happened. The other girls all stood up and went to the bathroom, but Ji-young lay flat on the ground. She was extremely worried about what to do. At this time, the other girls had already taken their towels and entered the bathroom. Ji-young looked down at herself. At this moment, she felt even more self-conscious. But Jae-ri told Ji-young not to feel embarrassed. Ji-young had no choice but to tell the truth. But at this moment, Director Jang coincidentally brought her trainee to the changing room. Director Jang used to be Jae-ri's subordinate, but now the two were each other's biggest enemies. The two opponents immediately felt uncomfortable when they met. They didn't like each other's words, so a dispute quickly arose. The students from both sides kept mocking and laughing at each other. Director Jang also stood up and kept showing off her impressive body shape. She confidently said that her bust was real. Moreover, she also said that Jae-ri's body parts were all fake. Director Jang mocked Jae-ri as a silicon woman, but Jae-ri replied to Director Jang that it was already 1997. Now was the era of beautifying oneself. Jae-ri believed that even in 10 or 20 years, plastic surgery would be considered a trend. Only someone like Director Jang would have nowhere to go for repairs, and then she would be jealous of other people's beauty after they did the plastic surgery. At this moment, Director Jang saw Ji-young standing behind Director Jae-ri. Director Jang pulled Ji-young out and looked her up and down. Director Jang then ridiculed Ji-young for not making her breasts a little bigger. Furthermore, Director Jang kept pulling and pulling on Ji-young's body. Jae-ri couldn't bear to look anymore. After Jae-ri used force to push Director Jang away, she pulled Ji-young towards her. But Jae-ri felt that something was wrong with the thing in her hand. Jae-ri immediately understood something, but Jae-ri still had to deal with Director Jang first. They quickly changed from cursing at each other to pulling each other's hair. A group of women started to fight in the changing room. They pulled each other's hair, pulled towels, and tore each other apart. After the fight ended, Jae-ri called Ji-young aside to talk. After Jae-ri measured Ji-young's bust with her hands, she was able to estimate the size of Ji-young's bust. But to be able to measure to the centimeter, she still needed to use a measuring tape again. If Ji-young's bust was too small compared to the competition standards, then even if she continued to practice, it would be meaningless. As soon as Ji-young took off her towel, Jae-ri was immediately stunned. She took out a measuring tape and started measuring carefully. Small bust was something that Ji-young had always been shy about talking about, but now Ji-young had to face it. After Jae-ri finished measuring, she didn't say anything. Her facial expression was extremely heavy. After that, Jae-ri's words left Ji-young completely at a loss for what to do. Actually, Ji-young's bust size was considered okay, but if she wanted to participate in the competition and win, she had to improve it through plastic surgery. Actually, Ji-young had consulted a plastic surgery clinic before, but the cost of the surgery was $5 million. She didn't have that much money, but the beauty pageant was getting closer and closer, and the surgery would require time to recover. This matter could not be delayed any longer. But at this moment, Hung-jun saw Ji-young's rental notice. He secretly went to find a broker to sign the contract. After that, Hung-jun moved into Ji-young's house. Hung-jun wanted to take this opportunity to get Ji-young first. Furthermore, he directly told her that Ji-young wanted to participate in a beauty pageant in front of her family. Moreover, this pageant was a type of showing off her body to all the men in the world in a revealing swimsuit. The elders were always very backward in their thinking. When they heard this, they immediately became angry with Ji-young. Ji-young's mother had died early, so her grandfather, father, uncle, and brother had raised her. Although they also enjoyed watching swimsuit shows, they absolutely would not allow their daughter to perform in front of others. Everyone hoped that Ji-young could settle down and work as an elevator attendant. Then she would find a good man to get married early and have lots of children. That was what women like her should do. The four men believed that since Ji-young was born a woman, she should accept her fate. Wearing revealing swimsuits and posing in public was not something a child from a well-educated family could do. If Ji-young did that, her family would be extremely embarrassed. Furthermore, her brother brother bluntly said that her bust was very small and she had no chance of winning. The four men even took out scissors and wanted to cut off all of Ji-young's hair. Only then did Hung-joon run over to stop them. If Ji-young's hair was cut off, his plan would be ruined. During the struggle, Hung-joon's ear was accidentally injured. He took this opportunity to scream non-stop. Then he pulled Ji-young and took this opportunity to quickly hide in the room. But Ji-young's relatives had already made up their mind. No matter what, they had to stop Ji-young from participating in the competition. Inside the room, Ji-young was applying medicine to Hung-joon. His ear had a wound as big as a needle hole, but he was so miserable that he clenched his fists and screamed. At this moment, Jae-ri went to Ji-young's house. Jae-ri knew that if she relied on Ji-young alone, she wouldn't be able to convince Ji-young's family. So Jae-ri went to Ji-young's house and introduced her as Miss Korea 1967, named Ma Jae-ri. The four men saw the beauty pageant winners they had only seen on TV appear right before their eyes and instantly turned into adorable fanboys. Jae-ri took out a photo album. Inside were all the beauty pageant winners she had trained. They were all ordinary low-level employees before, but after winning the title of Miss, one of them married into a wealthy family and became the wife of a tycoon. Another entered the entertainment industry and became a famous actress. Furthermore, if a girl's resume stated that she had been a Miss Korea, she would be given priority in any company she applied to. Therefore, the lives of the Miss Korea winners changed completely after winning the title. Hearing this, Ji-young's family realized that Jae-ri was here to persuade them. Even though they also felt that life back then was definitely wonderful, they still didn't allow Ji-young to participate in the contest because they just wanted her to be able to live a normal, peaceful life like everyone else. Then Ji-young's family invited Jae-ri to leave. At this point, Ji-young couldn't hold back anymore. She said that she would participate in the beauty contest, so she would also get breast augmentation surgery. As soon as Ji-young finished speaking, her family was left speechless by her surprise. Hyung-joon was the first to object. He didn't agree to let her put a knife on her body. Then he immediately turned to criticize Jae-ri, asking what kind of magic spell she used on Ji-young. At the same time, Hyung-joon also said that Ji-young's current bust size was already very nice. If she followed him, she wouldn't need breast augmentation surgery to win the championship. Furthermore, Hyung-joon also said that if Ji-young dared to get breast augmentation surgery, he would die here for her to see. After that, they locked Ji-young in the room and kept a very strict watch. They absolutely did not let Ji-young go out with director Jae-ri. To make her body more beautiful, Ji-young practiced moving forward with her butt for a distance of 1 kilometer. Then, Ji-young did 200 sit-ups to train her abs. She did 300 squats to make her thighs slimmer. Not only that, she also did 400 push-ups to make her bust bigger, just because her body was not beautiful. So besides plastic surgery, this was the only way to make her body more attractive. Even when she was sleeping, Ji-young still did handstands. The main purpose was to resist the gravity of the earth and prevent her body from sagging. Just then, Hyung-joon suddenly opened the door and walked in. Ji-young told him to save his strength. Don't try to make things worse. She had already decided to join the competition with Jae-ri. Meanwhile, Hyung-joon was seriously talking nonsense to Ji-young. He said that as long as she joined his team, she wouldn't need surgery. With just this body, she could win the championship. Ji-young immediately told Hyung-joon to stay as far away from her as possible. Ji-young said that if Hyung-joon had free time to flirt with her like that, he should use that time to deal with company matters. Hyung-joon said that he truly liked her, so he didn't want her to get surgery that would affect her body. This matter had nothing to do with who Ji-young was joining the competition with, but she told him to go back and take care of his company that was about to go bankrupt. Then Hyung-joon should come and talk to her about love. He is almost 30 years old now. Not only did he have no money, but he was also in huge debt, so what could he rely on to ensure that she would win? But Hyung-joon said that only bad boys like him could attract the attention of girls. The next day, Ji-young went to the hospital for plastic surgery. At that time, the hospital had just launched a free plastic surgery campaign. As long as she agreed to post her before and after photos on their website for advertising, she would be exempted from the $5 million surgery fee. Furthermore, the plastic surgeon also promised that the hospital would absolutely not reveal the customer's face. Now Ji-young wanted to use this method to complete the surgery, but the doctor said that he had to do a careful examination first. This made Ji-young feel a little suspicious of his intentions, but she still wanted to win the title of Miss Korea, so after taking a deep breath, she made her decision. The very next day, Hyung-joon went directly to the plastic surgery hospital. He once again affirmed that if he were to take Ji-young to the competition, she would be able to win the championship without surgery. But Jae-ri said that she did not force Ji-young to follow her. It was Ji-young's decision who she agreed to join. Ji-young said that as long as she could win the championship, she felt that all the effort and pain she had to go through would be worth it. Hyung-joon told her that if she did not follow him, she would definitely regret it. He then turned around and left in anger. Unexpectedly, that evening he came to find Ji-young again. again. This was the third time he said that he was confident that he could help Ji-young win the championship without surgery. Ji-young earnestly advised Hung-jun that she didn't want to join him because she didn't want to harm him. It was because beauty pageants weren't just about good looks, they also needed skin, body shape, clothing and jewelry, and even background, politics, hobbies, and judges' opinions. Everyone else spent 10 to 20 million won to prepare for the contest. Hung-jun was not only in debt at this time, but he was also an outsider. If they joined together, they were afraid they would be eliminated early. Hung-jun could only emphasize over and over again that she had to believe in his abilities. He didn't have money now because he was unlucky. In the future, he would definitely be able to give Ji-young a happy life. But Ji-young was so moved by his words that she cried. Although she was a little hesitant, she still insisted on her previous choice. In the following days, Ji-young practiced diligently. There was another person who was just as persistent as her, Chae-hee. Although Chae-hee's beauty seemed a little less than Ji-young's, her body proportions and posture were much better than Ji-young's. Moreover, Chae-hee seemed very confident. When Ji-young got home that night, she didn't dare to be careless. She bit the chopsticks in her mouth and practiced to get apple-shaped skin. While Ji-young was introducing herself, Hyun-jun suddenly walked in. This time, he said that he would spend money to support Ji-young's breast augmentation surgery, but the condition of the exchange was still that Ji-young had to cooperate with him. Then, Hyun-jun took out a very thick envelope. It turned out that he had mortgaged his old house to get money. He just wanted to prove himself to gain her trust. But Ji-young didn't want to pay attention to him. After returning to her room, she continued to squat. But when Ji-young thought about what Hyun-jun had given up for her, she felt a little touched. Early the next morning, Ji-young called Hyun-jun out to have breakfast with her family. Her attitude towards him had also changed. While Hyun-jun was waiting for the bus, he suddenly discovered that the money in the envelope was still with him. No wonder Ji-young had been unusually nice to him this morning. It turned out that she still wanted to go for that free breast augmentation surgery. Because Ji-young was a strong woman, she didn't want to use other people's money. At this time, she was lying on the hospital operating table. At this time, Hyun-jun also ran to the hospital. Then he directly put the money on the table. He could not bear the fact that Ji-young used her own photos to get free surgery. He told the nurse to immediately delete all the photos taken before the surgery. But at this time, Ji-young had already started general anesthesia. She gradually lost consciousness and did not hear Hyun-jun calling her. Ji-young quickly walked out of the operating room. At this time, Hyun-jun's expression was extremely tense. He worriedly asked her if she was scared and if it hurt. Hyun-jun said that he had already paid for the surgery, so she should consider cooperating with him. Jae-ri saw Ji-young coming out of the operating room so quickly, so she immediately asked Ji-young what was going on. Ji-young immediately bowed her head and apologized to director Jae-ri. It turned out that at the last moment before the surgery, Ji-young was moved by Hyun-jun and decided to give up the surgery. This also meant that Ji-young had decided to give up participating in the competition with Jae-ri. Jae-ri felt extremely disappointed. Not only did Ji-young betray her, but what was even more infuriating was that Ji-young had chosen to participate in the competition with that man. For a girl who had no opinions, Jae-ri also decided not to hold on to her any longer. Sure enough, Ji-young immediately felt deeply that this was clearly a very wrong choice on her part, because sweet words basically could not be turned into food. The other contestants of the competition took off all their clothes and lay straight on the beauty salon's bed. At this moment, their entire bodies were covered in 28-karat gold. Jae-ri introduced that gold can reduce facial swelling. This is also the reason why gold can retain its value so much. This may seem extravagant and wasteful, but in fact, the girls only need to lie in bed for 3 days to see very obvious results. Their faces will be significantly slimmer. On the other hand, Hyun-jun told Ji-young to slap her face with both hands. He said that this can also make her face slimmer. Very quickly, Ji-young's face was beaten until it was red and sore. Director Jang took her students to the sauna to sweat and slim their bodies. Hyun-jun took a ball and told Ji-young to lie on top of it and press it down hard. He said that doing so could help slim her stomach. He also said that this method was many times better than the effect at Jae-ri's beauty salon. But the beauty pageant's qualifying round was about to begin. What should Ji-young do with her hair? Hyun-jun said he had a way. Hyun-jun then took Ji-young to his rival, Jae-ri's training facility. Hyun-jun said he came here to ask for some experience with Jae-ri. He also said that he didn't go to the previous champion, Director Jang's beauty salon, because he felt that his level and Jae-ri's were on par, so they needed to share their experiences with each other. But Ji-young told the truth. She begged Director Ma to help her with her hair just once. Ji-young thought that Jae-ri would chase them away, but she was very generous and decided to design Ji-young's hair. Jae-ri was truly a beauty wizard. In no time, she had created such a beautiful hairstyle. Ji-young had never seen herself so beautiful. The girls around her couldn't stop admiring Ji-young. The lion head was a familiar hairstyle for Korean beauty queens. It not only made the hair thicker, but it also made the face slimmer. Ji-young was very very satisfied with this hairstyle. Soon after, the beauty pageant qualifying round began. Jae-ri had prepared 2 makeup artists and an assistant for each of her contestants. This allowed them to put all their effort into the contest. Ji-young was alone at home preparing everything. She could only cheer herself up. In her haste to leave the house, Ji-young forgot to bring her contestant card. She quickly arrived at the contest venue. The first challenge was the bare-faced test. The contest staff would measure the contestants' height, body measurements, and weight. But under the guidance of the beauty salon, each girl used a little trick. Some people did 100 push-ups before measuring their bust. Then their bust size would increase by 2 centimeters. Some people used a lot of force to breathe while measuring, so the measurement result would naturally be a little bigger. Strangely, there were people who were clearly very thin, but for some reason, their bust size was very admirable. But Ji-young not only did not have any innate talent, she did not even know how to use any tricks. But there was one thing that made Ji-young extremely helpless. When she measured at home before, it was clearly 32, but now the measurement result was only 30. Ji-young asked to be measured again, but this was flatly refused by the organizers. It turned out that this was the joint sponsor of the competition. Body's cosmetics company had played a trick behind the scenes. Because Hung-joon and he were competitors, he didn't want to let Hung-joon's company's representative, Ji-young, enter the next round. Not only was Ji-young's bust measured to be smaller, but her height was also reduced by 2 centimeters. Her face was measured to be 8 centimeters longer. Just like that, Ji-young's body, which was originally a golden ratio of level 8, instantly became a level 7. Hyung-joon was completely at a loss for what to do. At this moment, Ji-young's father at home discovered her contest card. Only then did he know that she had secretly registered for the beauty pageant. Therefore, Ji-young's family immediately decided to go to the venue of the competition to drag her back. At this time, Ji-young was still using Hyung-joon's method to slim her face. Meanwhile, Jae-ri's students had professional massage therapists taking good care of them. Director John even personally helped her students slim their faces. At this time, Hyung-joon went to the person in charge of the competition's organizing committee to reason. Hyung-joon said that while Ji-young was measuring her body proportions, she was being treated unfairly, so he requested that he be allowed to be in the hall while the bare face was being judged. But he had no connections and no bribes, so the person in charge used the excuse that it was against the competition's rules to refuse Hung-joon's request in front of everyone. But under the reporter's strong request, he finally allowed the reporter to record the interview. In fact, Director John had planned this evaluation in advance, but since reporters were present, the judges had no choice but to give a fair score. Ji-young relied on her beautiful appearance to get a high score. At this time, Ji-young's family had also come to the gate of the competition hall. They were determined to drag Ji-young home before the swimsuit competition started. Inside the waiting room, Director Jang's students took a deep breath to steady their breathing. Then they immediately wrapped tape around their waists tightly to shape their bodies into an hourglass shape. Only then would it be considered perfect. Director Jang told Sunju that even if she couldn't breathe, she had to persevere until the end, because wrapping tape like that when wearing a swimsuit would make her body shape perfect. Only then did the judges give Sunju a high score. This was Director Jang's unique secret to creating a beautiful swimsuit beauty. Others spent $5 million on plastic surgery, but she only needed a roll of tape to fix it. Director Jae-ri was patiently instructing Chae-hee on how to stand gracefully. What kind of swimsuit would accentuate her body? Ji-young was in a panic. Hyung-joon and his staff had no experience participating in such competitions. At this time, Lee Jun, who had always had a crush on Ji-young, had also rushed over. Hyung-joon immediately put a swimsuit on Ji-young. He didn't want Lee Jun to see her in a swimsuit. Lee Jun's purpose in coming here was to give Ji-young a pair of earrings. Although no other jewelry was allowed in the swimsuit competition, the contestants were allowed to wear earrings. This small piece of jewelry can also make the contestants more charismatic. How could Hyung-joon know about these things? Although Ji-young also liked it and felt that she should wear more earrings, she didn't want to hurt Hyung-joon's self-esteem, so she bluntly refused Lee Jun's good intentions. Hyung-joon was also aware of his shortcomings, but he still stubbornly said that, anyway, those earrings weren't expensive, so Ji-young shouldn't let down other people's kindness like that. Only then did she agree to accept Lee Jun's gift. But when she was full of confidence and preparing to leave for battle, she coincidentally ran into her grandfather and father, who came to stop her. Ji-young's father almost fainted when he saw her dressed so revealingly. Then he got angry and slapped Ji-young straight in the face. Her father mentioned his wife in heaven and told Ji-young that if she still insisted on participating in the contest, she would be doing her mother a disservice. She would be losing face for her family if she did so. Ji-young burst into tears and said that if her mother were still alive, her mother would definitely support her. She said that her father and grandfather were male chauvinists, so they had prejudices against beauty contests like this. But they didn't listen to Ji-young's explanation. competition. They wanted to drag Ji-young home. At this time, Ji-young signaled with her eyes to Hyung-jun. He also understood her intention. Hyung-jun immediately pulled Ji-young and ran away. The rest of the people were desperately trying to hold her family back. The swimsuit competition quickly began. Ji-young inside the audience was trying not to let her bad mood affect her. But at this moment, several other women suddenly appeared. They pushed Ji-young into the bathroom. It turned out that they were all Director Jae-ri's students. Choi Soo-yeon was the mastermind. She used force to pull the breast pads off Ji-young's body. Then she used the scissors that had been prepared beforehand to cut them into pieces. The main purpose was to prevent Ji-young from getting a high score in the swimsuit competition. The competition had already started. If Ji-young prepared again, it would definitely be too late, so she could only force a smile and prepare to go on stage. The contestants in front all made different mistakes. Only director Jang Sunju performed very well in this competition. But when Ji-young appeared, Hyung-jun, who was sitting below, also discovered that something was wrong. Before going on stage, it was clear that her bust size was not that big. The judges also felt that Ji-young was excellent in all aspects, but her bust was not outstanding compared to the other contestants. The final promotion stage was quickly approaching. The first, second, and third place winners from the regional rounds would represent Seoul in the finals. Since only 5 of the 50 contestants from the first round were retained, the girls were all extremely nervous. Only those who made it into the top 5 would have a chance to compete for the championship. The contestants whose names were called were all very happy. Fortunately, Ji-young was called into the top 5 based on her combined score. Hyung-jun's group finally felt relieved. Next, the judges had to choose the first, second, and third place winners from the 5 contestants on stage. So Hyun, who had walked catwalk on the subway, won third place. There would be 2 contestants eliminated from the remaining 4. The atmosphere immediately became extremely tense. Right after that, Jae-hee, Director Jae-ri's student, won second place. Ji-young was trying her best to control her tension. She tried to maintain a smile on her face. Hyung-jun's group in the audience were so nervous that they clenched their fists, but the MC called Sunju's name. This also meant that Ji-young was eliminated. Although Ji-young was still trying to maintain a smile, tears couldn't help but fall from her eyes. Ji-young and Sun-young were tied for 4th place. Only then did Hyung-jun realize that he should have listened to Director Jae-ri. Now his company was losing money and was facing the risk of bankruptcy. Everything Ji-young had put in before had become useless because only the top 3 could participate in the final round to compete for the national championship. Therefore, 4th place was completely meaningless. Ji-young could only start looking for a job again. But at this moment, Director Jae-ri gave a piece of paper to the reporter. She asked him to help her deliver it to the champion Sunju. When Sunju opened the paper, her face immediately changed color because Director Jae-ri had discovered her secret that she couldn't tell anyone. But facing the flashing cameras of the reporters, Sunju could only try to maintain a smile. But Director Jae-ri knew that she must be feeling confused and panicked inside. It turned out that the paper that Director Jae-ri gave her said, "Did you drink maltose?" While the contestants were having their measurements measured, Director Jae-ri was in the dressing room. She suddenly saw a plastic bottle containing a milky white liquid, so she took a big gulp and discovered that it was maltose. It has the effect of making women's breasts bigger. Drinking this before measuring 3 measurements is tantamount to cheating, so Director Jae-ri had to investigate who secretly drank this. So she told her students to try drinking maltose, but they all found it very unpleasant to drink. Later, in the dressing room before the swimsuit competition, Director Jae-ri saw Sunju looking everywhere after finishing her makeup. Jae-ri immediately kicked the plastic bottle to Sunju's place, and sure enough, Sunju mistook it for her water bottle that had fallen to the ground. After Sunju picked it up, she naturally drank the liquid inside the bottle. Through Sunju's expression, Director Jae-ri guessed that she was breastfeeding. This meant that she had given birth. This beauty pageant had a clear rule that girls who had given birth were not eligible to participate in the pageant. Director Jae-ri then went to Sunju and hoped that she would take the initiative to give up her title. Because Jae-ri also did not want to make this public, Sunju did not know what to do, so she told Director Jang that she had given birth to a child without getting married. After Director Jang found out that her rival had found out about this, she pretended to comfort Sunju. But in fact, she was already calculating how to get rid of Sunju. After Sun Young heard this news, she secretly called the organizers to report it so that she could advance to 3rd place and participate in the finals. But Ji-young was also in 4th place with Sun Young. At this time, Ji-young was still very worried about finding a job. Ji-young's father and uncle had prepared envelopes and gifts and went to the mall to find Minister Park. They hoped that he could let Ji-young go back to work. But Minister Park was extremely disdainful of this little reward. He bluntly said that Ji-young had stolen things from the mall to take the exam right in front of her family. He even directly dumped the gift on the ground and threw out all the money in the envelope. Minister Park used this method to humiliate the 2 older men. At this time, Ji-young Ji-young was still at home when she suddenly received a phone call informing her that she was participating in the finals. Hyungjun said that this was the luck that loving him brought Ji-young. Ji-young was also extremely grateful for Hyungjun's companionship, but she still didn't know that she was able to participate in the final round because Lee Jun was always silently helping her behind the scenes. Ji-young immediately packed her luggage to prepare for the next day's intensive training. Because she didn't want to bother Hyungjun, she didn't let him see her off, but instead carried her suitcase and set off alone. The other finalists were all competing for the most expensive limited edition wedding dress. Ji-young had no money. Hyungjun was still in debt, so she could only find the cheapest dress on the street advertisements. But she found out that even the cheapest dress was not something she could rent. At this moment, Lee Jun called her. He had prepared expensive dresses for Ji-young. He didn't want the girl he liked to wear cheap rented dresses to compete. After Ji-young put on the expensive dress, she really became gorgeous. The red carpet ceremony of the competition officially began. Beautiful girls from all over the country were sitting in luxury cars. They wore the most gorgeous outfits and went to the venue. The media reporters surrounded both sides of the red carpet. The blue and yellow combination of Chae-hee and So-hyun attracted even more flashbulbs. At this time, Hyungjun had already brought the dress he had rented and hurried to the venue. Ji-young struggled to drag her suitcase alone. It turned out that she didn't want to hurt Hyungjun's pride, so she once again refused Lee Jun's good intentions. She put on the cheap dress that Hyungjun had prepared for her. Lee Jun also felt helpless with her choice. Then came the various rehearsals. Just as Ji-young returned to the dormitory and was about to take a shower, she happened to see the two girls who had ruined her clothes last time. They were really fated to be together. Coincidentally, they were assigned to the same room. Ji-young had just gone into the bathroom when a huge basin of cold water was suddenly poured on her. She knew that this must have been the other two's plan. After returning to the dormitory, the few of them immediately got into a conflict because they didn't agree with each other. This also led to Chae-hee joining in the hair-pulling battle. Luckily, the person in charge of the competition showed up in time. Because they had a conflict in the dormitory, each of them would be deducted 15 points. If 30 points were deducted, they would be automatically disqualified from the competition. The organizers immediately announced that during the competition, smoking, drinking, and sexual intercourse were strictly prohibited. The main sponsor of this competition was Baddie Cosmetics. They would be in charge of providing cosmetics. The final winner of the competition would have to sign a contract to become a designated model for Baddie. Ji-young argued that there was no such clause in the beauty pageant agreement. She also did not agree to this condition because she represented Hyungjun's cosmetics company to participate in the competition. This made the organizers and sponsors of the competition very dissatisfied with her. The sponsors came to Ji-young and Hyungjun and directly said that if Ji-young didn't sign the contract, she shouldn't even think about continuing to participate in the competition. But the difficulties and challenges that Ji-young had to face had only just begun. Yesterday, Ji-young was attacked by eggs, which was a protest from some people against beauty contests. They accused beauty contests of discriminating against appearance. They called for the competition to be stopped. And then, during the swimsuit photo shoot, because Ji-young had a conflict with the sponsors, she was arranged to go to the swimming pool without makeup to take pictures. Furthermore, during the photo shoot, the organizers also asked Ji-young to lie down on the swimming mat. Ji-young tried many times but couldn't lie down on it. After she returned to the dorm, she discovered that her high heels had been damaged by someone else. What was even worse was that Sun-young had secretly put an irritant into Ji-young's cosmetics. Fortunately, Chae-hee had reminded Ji-young. If Ji-young had applied cosmetics containing irritant ingredients on her face, she definitely wouldn't have been able to continue competing. During the singing and dancing practice the next day, neither Sun-young nor Chae-hee had performed very well. Ji-young, on the other hand, had a smug smile on her face. Because she had a wealth of performing experience, this performance was no different than giving her points. Indeed, Ji-young's performance was clearly better than all the other contestants. Sun-young and Soo-hyun had always regarded her as their enemy, so at this moment, they felt even more jealous and envious to the point of gritting their teeth. The director also immediately asked for a fan to blow hard on Ji-young's hair, so Ji-young's hair fluttered even more in the wind. It made her performance extremely soulful. Of course, this was also the result of Ji-young's hard work in training for the competition. It was soon time for the pre-competition judges meeting. Lee Jun Investment Company and Ji-young's former boss, Minister Park, they were both sponsors, so they became judges to evaluate the contestants. They would decide the total score of the contestants before the competition. The first criterion for evaluating swimsuits was the collarbone. The female judge, who was about to give Ji-young a high score, received a warning. As a result, she gave that high score to someone else. The second criterion was to reveal the neckline. The focus of this criterion was on the curve of the neck and the line of the back. back. Simply put, the higher the neck, the more beautiful it would be, and the neck circumference had to be just right. A neckline that was half the waist would be the perfect measurement. The shoulders should be straight and the most beautiful when they have a curve of about 5 degrees. All the judges based on these standards to score the contestants. Minister Park showed the score sheet first. He gave Ji-young all the lowest scores. Fortunately, Lee Jun gave Ji-young all the highest scores, so her scores could be balanced. After the grading session ended, Minister Park was not done with his revenge. He told Ji-young that this was the result of her not listening to what he said at first. Minister Park also hinted to Ji-young that if she agreed now, he could still reconsider. Ji-young was now planning to kill Minister Park. At this time, Lee Jun, in order to avoid suspicion, called Ji-young and told her the total score. This allowed her to complete the next practice sessions with peace of mind. Very quickly, all the contestants appeared on stage one by one. During the singing and dancing, Sun Young deliberately pretended to fall down, according to director Jang's wishes. Her purpose was to appear in front of the camera. This resulted in no footage of So Hyun. At this time, Ji-young was backstage. She saw the video of her loved ones and finally got the support of her family. This made Ji-young very touched. At this time, the contestants began their special performances. Director Jang was cheering for her contestants from below the stage. Director Jang's excessive actions made Director Jae-ri feel embarrassed for her. Hyun-jun was very worried about Ji-young's performance. The first team quickly finished performing. The second team immediately started performing. Chae-hee's hip rotation made everyone in the audience unable to blink. The next person to appear was Ji-young. Ji-young's performance on stage was truly amazing. Even though there were hundreds of thousands of spectators sitting in the audience, she did not feel any stage fright. Even though Ji-young had to wear heels that were more than 10 centimeters high on her feet, her dance moves were still very natural and light. Her performance left Director Jang speechless, but the real fun was yet to come. Hung-jun sat in the audience, happy like an idiot. As soon as Ji-young started singing, the entire hall was stunned. Even though she had to sing and dance for a long time, it did not affect her singing voice at all. Director Jae-ri also felt very regretful that she could not sign a contract with Ji-young in the first place. All the spectators in the audience were cheering for Ji-young. The choreography from 26 years ago unexpectedly had such an emotional impact. Director Jae-ri was actually worried about her contestants because regardless of singing, dancing, expression, or charm, Chae-hee couldn't compare to Ji-young. The finals of the Miss Korea pageant were about to begin. Inside the makeup room, all the girls were taking advantage of every minute to prepare for the finals. Ji-young was carrying her makeup bag. She still hadn't gotten a makeup position. Director Jae-ri was confused because Ji-young didn't even have an assistant. The pageant was about to begin, but Hung-jun was missing. But Ji-young just smiled and said that she could handle everything by herself. Director Jae-ri wanted to help Ji-young, but she was also taking care of her contestants, so she could only remind Ji-young to quickly go to the bathroom and find a place with a mirror to put on makeup. Just like that, the other contestants were all meticulously putting on makeup in the dressing room. Ji-young had to carry her makeup bag by herself. She hugged her dress in her arms and hurriedly went to the bathroom. At this moment, Lee Jun had brought the makeup artist to find Ji-young because he knew that Hyung-jun was not trustworthy at important moments. But Ji-young once again refused Lee Jun. She knew that he had feelings for her, so she didn't want Hyung-jun to have any misunderstandings. She believed that he would come here very soon. After that, Ji-young left resolutely. After going to the bathroom, she did her own makeup and hairstyle. At this time, the final night was about to begin. Ji-young's family had also arrived at the venue. With the appearance of the MC, the competition officially began. The contestants introduced themselves and announced their participation. When it was Ji-young's turn, her sincere and humble expression left a very good impression on the judges. The final round of the competition quickly arrived, which was also the swimsuit competition that everyone enjoyed watching the most. After the judges' careful observation, the organizers quickly got the scores for the swimsuit competition. So Hyun, who had walked the catwalk on the subway, got 8 points. Sun Young, who was a professional dancer, got 7.9 points. Next was Ji-young. Because Ji-young had trained hard and had been doing the job of standing in one place for many years, her legs were very straight. Her waist was very slim, so whether it was her legs or her thighs, they were very firm. Although Ji-young's bust was a little small, her overall proportions were very harmonious. In the end, the judges gave her 8.4. But Ji-young and her family shouldn't be too happy too soon because Chae-hee's beauty queen aura immediately appeared. Chae-hee had a high academic degree from a prestigious university. That made Chae-hee very confident. She won the highest score of 8.5. Then, Ji-young relied on her high score to smoothly enter the top 15. During the break, Ji-young texted Hyung-jun, but from beginning to end, she still didn't receive a reply from him. Meanwhile, the judges here were meeting to discuss how to break the rules of traditional beauty pageants. The criteria for scoring contestants were not limited to high education and good jobs. For the sake of fairness, they should all also give opportunities to candidates who have jobs at the grassroots level. They should also give extra points to candidates who have natural beauty and have not had plastic surgery to avoid having similar plastic surgery faces in the future. This also brought more opportunities to Ji-young. Ji-young quickly entered the top. Chae-hee also easily entered the announcement list. Next, Sun-young was voted for the special award of the cosmetics company Body, so Hyun and two other candidates simultaneously achieved third place. At this time, there were still two other candidates on stage. The candidate from Daegu won second place. This means that between Ji-young and Chae-hee, one person will achieve the title of Miss Korea. The other person naturally won second place and became the runner-up. After the MC talked for a while, he began to announce the answer. As expected, God does not disappoint those who try. Ji-young finally defeated Chae-hee and successfully won the Miss Korea title. This result surprised Ji-young's family. They did not expect that their daughter could win the Miss Korea title. Minister Park was also surprised. He did not expect that his subordinate who farted in the elevator would now become a miss. At the same time, Ji-young received the Miss Korea title. She also received a huge bonus of $20 million, along with a 50-carat natural diamond crown, and next year she would represent Korea in an international beauty pageant. But until the end, Ji-young did not see Hyunjun. It turned out that because Hyunjun's business was losing money, he owed a huge amount of money. The creditors removed all the equipment from his factory. Hyunjun was also beaten up. At the press conference hall, Hyunjun finally appeared. At this time, director Jae-ri also saw Hyunjun. Hyunjun did not forget to brag to Jae-ri that Ji-young had won the championship. Director Jae-ri bluntly questioned Hyunjun, saying that while Ji-young needed help from others, he disappeared. Now that she had won the championship, he appeared. Director Jae-ri really did not understand what Ji-young saw as good about Hyunjun, but Hyunjun said that things she did not expect were still waiting behind. Sure enough, Ji-young saw Hyunjun injured. After she knew that his factory had all its equipment taken away by bad guys, she took out a 20 million won stock certificate and gave it to Hyunjun to encourage him to start over. Hyunjun initially refused the money, but he eventually accepted it. Not only that, Hyunjun later became Ji-young's manager. After Ji-young became Miss Korea, her value doubled. Big and small TV stations competed to interview her. Advertising invitations kept coming to her. Whether it was famous directors or staff, they all treated her very politely. But Ji-young didn't use the money she earned from advertising and being a spokesperson to buy things for herself. She gave all the money to Hyunjun. Today, Ji-young suddenly received a call from Minister Park. He also invited Ji-young to be the spokesperson for his department store. Ji-young went to the department store once again. She was deeply moved that this place had abolished the position of elevator attendant. The moment she stood in the elevator reminded her of so many things. If she had not bravely entered the beauty pageant, if she had given up halfway because it was too difficult, then perhaps the current her would still be somewhere continuing to work as an attendant. Or perhaps she would be like before. Even when she was hungry and ate an egg, she would still be scolded by the manager. Up to now, the general manager of the department store had to make an appointment with her manager to meet Ji-young. Furthermore, they had to invite her to a luxurious conference room. Minister Park even changed his previous arrogance and harsh words. He used a smiling face and a respectful and careful attitude to talk to Ji-young. The next day, he even brought a gift bag to Ji-young's house. He bowed and apologized to her family for what happened earlier. He also took out the salary that he had previously deducted from Ji-young to return to Ji-young. Minister Park kept apologizing to Ji-young for his previous excessive actions, but Ji-young told him to return the money he had taken from the other employees before they could discuss signing the contract. He immediately said that he would quickly do as she requested. Today's drama ends here. Thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye and see you again.